What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing back at you again. Today's topic, the Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury trilogy. Redemption for Deontay Wilder or repeat for Tyson Fury. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing. All right, so the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder trilogy is on for July 24th, and we're looking forward to this fight coming up. As you all know, Deontay Wilder was successful in his arbitration. The ruling was in his favor, and the trilogy was mandated by the arbitrator. Has to happen and will be happening on July 24th of this year. Tyson Fury basically tried to, basically what the arbitration decision is showing us is that Deontay Wilder, whatever we might think about him, okay, and his claims of, Tyson Fury cheating and all of that, whatever we might think about all of that, Deontay Wilder was done a disservice by Tyson Fury trying to pull out of the trilogy match, and that's basically what happened. Tyson Fury tried to pull out, do a money grab with Anthony Joshua, and get a big payday, and leave Deontay Wilder, hanging. And the arbitration basically is showing us that there was a disservice done to Deontay Wilder, and that this is the reason why the trilogy was mandated by the arbitrator. So all of the arguments and talking points leading up to this whole decision, about whether Deontay Wilder wanted the trilogy, whether the rematch clause expired, all of that is moot right now, okay? That's neither here nor there. The bottom line is that what the arbitration is showing us is that, despite all of the talk about Deontay Wilder not wanting the trilogy match, about him letting the rematch clause expire, all of that was just talk. Had no basis in fact, and the fact of the matter is that the rematch clause was still in effect, and Tyson Fury has to honor that. And this is what the arbitration is saying. And the fact that Tyson Fury tried not to honor that rematch clause and try to fight Anthony Joshua, he actually did Deontay Wilder a disservice, and the arbitration decision by mandating this trilogy fight is correcting that disservice. So that's what it is. So we have to accept that fact. There's no way around that. Okay, this is what the decision is pointing out, and we have to accept that, and go with that. I mean, we can't try to talk. People can still try and talk and say, oh, Deontay Wilder let the clause expire, or he doesn't really want the rematch, or he wants step aside money. But that's all talk. From my position when I'm looking at this situation now with this arbitration decision, none of that has any basis in fact. It wasn't Deontay Wilder's fault why the rematch clause was so-called expired, because it wasn't expired. Deontay Wilder does want the rematch. He doesn't want any step aside money, as people keep saying. And he doesn't want to step aside. He wants to fight Tyson Fury for the trilogy. So this is what he claims in his when he filed this mediation arbitration. And now that the decision is in his favor, I still hear people talking about step aside money and this, that, the other. It doesn't make any sense. I would watch step aside money. Why would he want step aside money when he's been trying to get this trilogy fight? Like he said, we have to take him at his word at this point. It doesn't, we can't keep saying, he doesn't really want to fight, or he wants step aside money. The only person that came up with any idea about step aside money was Tyson Fury, and I think Tyson Fury was lying to save face about Deontay Wilder wanting step aside money. I don't believe it. Okay, the only source we have for that story is Tyson Fury, and it has been shown that Tyson Fury, Bob Arum, you know, they're both liars at the end of the day, and they were lying this whole time and trying to scam people into thinking that Deontay Wilder let the rematch clause expire, and now they're trying to scam me into thinking that Deontay Wilder is asking for step aside money. I don't buy it. Okay, see, I'm just not gonna buy that. Okay, so at the end of the day, this fight is gonna happen, and you know, I'm definitely looking forward to see how it's gonna play out. Now, Deontay Wilder, you know, has been talking a lot of stuff. We hear him talk about decapitation. We're going to talk about disfigurement. We're going to talk about, you know, legal homicide. You know, these are all the talk that's coming from Deontay Wilder's camp of what he's going to do to Tyson Fury. And that's all good and well, but let's not, you know, put the horse before the cart, because we were hearing all this same talk prior to the second fight, and look what happened in the second fight. You know, Deontay Wilder got smashed. So let's hope that Deontay Wilder is not just talking this third fight, and that, you know, he actually is gonna back up some of the things, you know, he's been saying, you know, which he didn't do in the second fight. He got destroyed in the second fight. So, you know, now supposedly Deontay Wilder is out there training and, you know, working on his craft, which is nothing wrong with that, because I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. If Deontay Wilder was to actually work on his boxing skills and technique, he'd be the most dangerous fighter in the heavyweight division. Okay, but he hasn't been doing that, you know, his whole career, and it looks like this loss, you know, has put him on, you know, has him now, you know, facing reality and realizing that he does need some skill besides just his, you know, his right hand that he's been depending on his whole career. And so we've seen that, you know, he's basically been working on, you know, his techniques and, you know, different skills and so forth. Now, whether or not all of this is going to work in a fight with Tyson Fury, you know, we're going to have to wait and see. But it is nothing wrong with the fact that he's working on different skills, because that's what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. I mean, it's too bad that he waited until now, you know, when he's, you know, like, almost at the end of his career to actually make these necessary changes. But, you know, it's never too late. And so I'm glad to see that he's actually working on different techniques, punch selection, defense, skill. So he's working, and, you know, that's what he's supposed to be doing. Is it going to be enough? We're going to have to wait and see. Now, a lot of people out there saying that you can't make the necessary changes in one fight to be able to go back, you know, to make the changes that Deontay Wilder needs to make. You're going to need more than one fight to make those changes. But I beg to differ, because we saw, you know, Anthony Joshua do the same thing, you know, in one fight, and in less time than Deontay Wilder has. You know, he made the necessary changes and came back and beat Ruiz after Ruiz defeated him in their first fight. So, you know, there's nothing saying that Deontay Wilder can't do the same thing. I don't see why he can't. It's just a matter of execution. You know, whether he could, you know, stick with the training and the new techniques and the new regimen that he's doing, if he could actually stick with that in a real fight, okay, as opposed to a training scenario. So, you know, that's all it basically is. And so I don't think it's impossible that you know, he could win this fight with Tyson Fury, or that he could actually change his style to be able to make the necessary adjustments. I mean, you know, I think he can do it. It's just a matter of discipline and focus. So we're going to see if he can actually pull this off or not. It should be very interesting. I mean, this should be an exciting fight. You know, when you throw all of the different things that's been happening into the mix, you know, this should make for an interesting fight. I hope Deontay Wilder, you know, is actually going to be able to back up what he's saying. He's putting a lot of pressure on himself. You know, I don't know why, but you know, I mean, he already had enough pressure. You know, considering what happened in the second fight. You know, winning this third fight is not going to be easy, I don't think. But then again, Deontay Wilder can go in there. He could go in there and surprise us. You know, I mean, it's not outside of the realm of possibility that he could stop Tyson Fury, you know, with that punch. We saw him drop Tyson Fury before, but you know, outboxing Tyson Fury is not going to be easy for Deontay Wilder. Okay, but then again, you know, you never know, and so we're gonna see how this fight plays out, whether or not Deontay Wilder can actually, you know, do the same thing that Anthony Joshua did, come in there, you know, execute, use all the different training techniques he's been working on, and actually be successful in beating Tyson Fury. It remains to be seen, but I don't think it's impossible. I think it's possible, and you know, we might just see that. Then again, we might just see another demolition of Deontay Wilder by Tyson Fury, which is probably the most likely scenario, you know, considering how the second fight went. But you know, we can't count Deontay Wilder out, you know, especially since he looks like he's dedicating himself to his training. I mean, you know, I mean, looks might be deceiving, but I mean, it looks like the goods to me. Look like he's really in there trying to, you know, get himself prepared to really, you know, take on Tyson Fury and do it effectively. So, yeah, you know, kudos to Wilder for doing that, for going in there and doing what he needs to do. You know, it would have been better if he had done that in the beginning, and you know, and left all of that, you know, all of that Mark Brilliant poisonous water, the referee, and all that talk out of the whole situation. But it's you know, it's already there. Nothing you can do about that now. And the only way for him to make people forget all of that conspiracy nonsense is to beat Tyson Fury in this third fight. You know, he has no other option. He has to win. So there's a lot of pressure on Deontay Wilder to win this fight, because unless he wins this fight, you know, if he loses this fight again, especially in the same fashion that he was stopped in the last fight, you know, then I think we could more or less say it's you know, it's more or less over for Deontay Wilder. You know, all of that conspiracy theory, the whole thing will just be following around for the rest of his career, and the rest of his career will be reduced to what happened between him and Fury in the second fight and in the third fight, and all of that stuff that happened before, you know, his knockouts, his defenses, won't really come into play, because there's been so much attention, you know, given to this whole trilogy situation and the loss in the second fight and all of that. And, you know, mostly, you know, due to Deontay Wilder putting all of that narrative out there about, you know, the gloves, the Watergate, Glovegate, referee gate, and all the rest. So Deontay Wilder got a hard road ahead of him, and hopefully, you know, he's actually really getting prepared to go in there and do battle against Fury and you know, win this trilogy fight. Let's hope that's what's going to happen. You know, he's going to go in there and put up a great fight and end up defeating Tyson Fury. Whether or not he can actually do that, I don't know. It remains to be seen. And I find it, you know, I think it's not likely that he's going to win this fight. I mean, I'm not saying he can't win it. I mean, he could win, especially if he actually goes in there with a different, you know, with improved skills and technique. You know, he should be able to give Fury hell. But then, you know, those different techniques that we see him working on will have to be, you know, effective, and will have to work for him in the second fight, in this third fight, for him to come out victorious. So we don't know how it's going to play out in the end, you know. So there's a big question of whether it's going to be redemption for Deontay Wilder or repeat for Tyson Fury. Now, naturally, the winner of this fight has big, you know, options ahead of him. You know, the undisputed fight is ahead of them, and for big money. Okay, probably even more money than what's been talked about before. So, you know, this fight has a lot riding on it for both fighters. More so for Deontay Wilder than for Tyson Fury, because again, you know, Tyson Fury won the last fight, and Deontay Wilder actually needs to win this one for them to be even 1-1. Okay, so yeah, let's see how everything's gonna play out. Deontay Wilder is getting prepared. Okay, he's working on his craft. He's, look at that. See that punch selection he's doing. He's actually working. So let's see if all that work pays off for Deontay Wilder. Okay, he can have a better performance in this fight than he did in the second fight or the first fight. Just depending on his one-punch knockout power, like he's been doing his whole career, which was a mistake, I think. Okay, so this should be an interesting fight for all involved. Okay, should be a great fight. Should be a barn burner. Should be the biggest fight of the summer. So let's see how it all plays out. So yeah, Deontay Wilder's out there talking a lot of smack. Okay, decapitation. Okay, he's talking disfigurement. Okay, so let's see what happened. I'm definitely looking forward to this fight. I'm going to leave it here for right now, though. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Okay, go to TBEBoxing.com. Get the latest news, headlines, and commentary. And you can also donate to the channel if you choose to do that. But yeah, that's all I have for right now. This is TBE Boxing. I'm out. Redemption or repeat.